Hi. 31 years. Convert this layout item to objects. Is that already implemented? No, it's not implemented. A series of adjacent grapheme runs. This is guess da. Yeah, there's only one thing you can get really good in your life. Mine is C++. That's what I try to get good at anyway. No, I'm trying to add some documentation to classes. I think this one also should mention what that is, of course. Fucking hell. So. Sorry, I scratched my leg and then it started to bleed like crazy. My skin is not very nice anymore. I can't scratch myself without breaking it. Yeah, so anyway. Wow, that hurts. Ridiculousness. Yeah, I think I should have made that bold. Actually, oops, let's say these are bold. Make this bold. Expensive documentation. It's a good thing I'm not paid for it. Actually, that was not good. This one ends. Oops. Let it end early, I guess. Boop, boop, boop. Straight line with the thin up. That one. And here was one that has a straight line thin down. This one. And there is a point where the white space starts. Do we also have dot dot dots, I think? No, what? You have these dots, but that's it. Do I have to do use the same character? No, there's no vertical dots. Yeah, here are dots. Could use these. dot dashes. There is a BS. Let's see if we can find that. BS, yeah, there's no WS. BS is backspace. Oh, WS is then white space, but Jesus. Can I make it any smaller? That's pretty useless. These are all small, I think. Probably should look for arrowhead. Yeah, well, I like doing it. I have an I made a list of stuff that I use often like this, but also here there's no arrowhead in it. I should make this thing larger, I guess. It's more mathematical aimed. Yeah, it should also be possible to just look it up quickly, man. Left pointing triangle then. Here we are. Snore. Not again. Now, the big difference with writing it in a documentation file, that it isn't close to the code. I like this. This is my code. I wanted to have in the same file, and it is possible. So yeah, then we do it like that, right? Say columns is the current number of terminal columns in this row, including trailing white space. So that continues till here, including the white space. I code Gabe and working on a CLI for an AI thus. In particularly the well, basically this program here, but then in C++. So this has a user interface. Yeah, you can scroll up and down, and you have stuff where you can click on click to expand, click again to unexpand, and it's highlighted if you move the cursor over it. We have colors. And we have a scroll bar here that even works. Stuff like that is required. Okay, this only shows the trailing white space, but doesn't show the grapheme runs. So that I can chop this up in multiple pieces, and then it well, it is just from here till there exists of a number of grapheme runs, each with their own width. And well, this must be non-white space here. So I'm wondering, does this white space have to be the same grapheme run that is part of that non-white space? So is all of this part of the last grapheme run ever, I think, or not? And or does it matter? I think that you can chop it up arbitrarily. So this could be made up of many little grapheme. This will never be the case, but this could be grapheme run, grapheme run, grapheme run. We just keep appending white space anyway. If I have a pure white space grapheme run and I call append with that, just white space, it gets appended, and this gets longer. Yeah, so even the white space can be chopped up. I'm not sure if it will become a lot more if it helps if I chop that up graphically. I mean, I could just add a comment. It's also not very clear now. I mean, the fact that I connected them. These are two different examples. It's like this or like this. So the whole picture is not one thing, which is maybe confusing. I should probably separate that. It is a lot of work. No. Damn it. You can basically always write just size type. I did that until last week. The AI always writes that, and I started to copy that because I want consistency. And I want to have if half of the project writes just size time, and the other half writes standard size time. I don't like that. So if the AI writes always standard size type, then I go, oh, okay, I guess that's probably a backward C compatibility thing. That size type is dumped in the global namespace. So I guess you should officially use std size type, but definitely both work. I'm going to split this up. suddenly we lost the page. What we want is it doesn't look like it goes to the corner. I think I have beautiful documentation for this one. I also think that this is the only clause that exposes, or it doesn't expose anything yet, but that stores the white characters, which are in the grapheme runs, because the grapheme runs have a white string. So these white strings catenated. I could do that, say that str. And I need a method here to write them to an ncurses window. I think window capital W is a handle, really. And I think apparently not right too. I think I already have at least one case where we do that. And I want to use the same name everywhere, obviously. So I think a pad is a window, and a pad can already be written to. Is it being done by generate? Right row we have. I was pretty sure that right would be part of it, so I think that's it. It's not a member function of anything. Right, so this does take a basic window, which this is called a pad here, because this is anonymous in pad.cxx. But it takes a basic window, which has a handle. It's just a unique pointer to a handle to an ncurses window. So this is my ncurses window, and it doesn't matter if it's a pad or a sub window or a normal window or whatever. And then it does write grapheme span, which is exactly what I'm documenting now. So I think that this function here should be turned into a member function of grapheme span. Still called text row here. So I renamed it. It should now have been renamed to grapheme span. write one grapheme spin of a paragraph, which is then also dubious. Does not not necessarily be related to a paragraph anymore. Into the ncurses pad. Also, yeah, well, no. Hetero row. The cursors move to the start of the row once. Every add call then continues right after where the previous one ended. So the grapheme runs of the row simply catenate. The catenate is not an actual existing word. It must be concatenate. If that is correct English, like this, but okay. Each grapheme run is written with a rendition of its parent text span or with the default rendition when the text span was created without a rendition of its own. The rendition is only passed to ncurses when it actually changes and it is restored to what it was before. Before this row at the end. I don't know what to do with the row here. I think that this row is actually an ncurses row. So that is, I keep that as a row, yeah. When it's part of a position, it's a row. And what is being talked about is that row. So start with the row once, yeah, row. Wrapping may have kept trailing white space on the row that extends past the right. Blah blah blah. Next row. The rest of the row fits. Rows are filled up to pad with cells with spaces using default rendition, so that the background of the whole row equals the paragraph background. A row that is written to the very last row of the pad can extend exactly at the bottom right corner of the pad. That is the binging ncurses corner case tolerated by basic window add string, even though ncurses add string returns error because it can't advance the cursor. Yeah, I think that the row here is just okay. Oh, fool said once a character was clipped. From then on, only white space may follow. Determine how many white characters of this grapheme run fit also on the pad row. Oh fool. If count is 0, then no character in this grapheme run did fit on this row and all characters truncated were white space. If the row is full, then we expect any additional characters of subsequent grapheme runs, if any, to be white space. Actually, it's just good. So all the rows should be a row. You could say kind of expected a for loop to be, but they only have two for loops here. One is called grapheme run and the other one is called character metadata. Okay, the things that I definitely am not happy with is that it moves the cursor, that is this move here. Because if this, well, if the whole thing would be a member function of grapheme span, then for the, actually for a span, I'm gonna have to write multiple spans also on a row, I think. So you can't really do that. Or I could, ja, ik ben Nederlands. So yes, I mean, can you hear it? Oh no, isn't everyone on the internet Dutch? I'm just kidding. Right row, right row. Can I not say the R? Right. We say an R in Dutch as ja r. R, right. But that does not, that sounds Dutch, I guess. Right row, row. Yeah, I say it with row. R. So it is, I can not have a rolling R for the right. So it's not right, it is right. And then I should, I guess, maybe the English don't do rolling R's. So it's an row also. A right row. Right row. Well, as long as you can understand me. It's okay, I guess. So, what to do? I just want this thing to call add string. Here, it calls add string. Not move. And I read in a comment that it was also moving it back or something. Did I read that incorrectly? Well, it's a rendition. So the cursor just stays where it is, wrapped, if there was a line below it. So it's at the next, the beginning of the next line, unless that there is no next line, and then it's at the end of the last line. In other words, completely unreliable. Well, not, yeah, at the end then, yeah, of course. Really in the corner? I don't know, maybe just write something. No, it only wraps if you really reach the end of the pad even. So yeah, I don't know. The cursor might be anywhere after this. But most notably, if you write less than the width of the pad, in this case, then you can call it multiple times. Maybe I should start deleting the move and then move the move to where right row is being called. And then we have something that we could call multiple times on a row. So, oh no, another row. And then I can make it a member function of grapheme span, I think. So something else that is too specific for pad. I have to read this again, I'm afraid. Right, one wrapped frame span or park. Yeah, this. Maybe I need to keep this because it's also possible that I keep this. Well, maybe I should do that actually. Just I keep this. So I'm gonna call right row as an anonymous function. We call that here. And then I have this function, call a member function on the graph span. So I make it a lot shorter. But we're going to make it such that it still does what the documentation says here. So I don't have to change the documentation. Yeah, that's nice. So we begin with a move. That's what it says that's what it is doing. Tractor in addition that ncurses would still use. Starting from the current one. Yeah, I think I want to have that also in the more general function. So this should already be part of the member function. It's just a move. Is it just a move? Okay, I think if it, yes, yeah. Okay, let me scan the code and then decide. I think it can be done. Isn't this max columns? I mean, that's part of the grapheme span itself. So why am I passing that here? This has a max columns. The grapheme span is, I think it's totally const. Let me make it const. So that is constructed with the max columns. It should not be necessary to pass that here as well. So the question is then, where does this grapheme span come from? I already have a vector of grapheme spans here. I think columns is the whole thing. Yeah, but that's not how it works, is it? No, that's not how it works. Okay, what is columns here? Columns. That is the width of the pad. Wrap two columns. Okay. So the interesting thing is that in this case we only have paragraphs. The paragraphs are going to provide our grapheme spans. The grapheme spans come from wrapped paragraphs, and the wrapped paragraphs are created with a pushback from wrap2, where columns is being passed. Which means that I think the grapheme span is just being constructed with the same value. So indeed, columns should be equal in this case already to max columns of each of the grapheme spans. Yeah, it is constructed like that. Grapheme span is constructed with the columns here. So if I feel uncertain about that, I could add here an assert that they are equal to columns, meaning the grapheme span max columns is equal that. So the grapheme span has an max columns thing, which is returns max columns, which is what it was constructed with. This word is wrong. That should not be rows. I was looking for a row, but there is a rows here. That is wrong. It's not in that function though that I'm going to borrow. Okay, so I do no longer need to pass columns here because we already have it in the regime span. That's it. And then we do have to fix this because I'm going to turn this into a member function. So it is now write one wrapped, that's no longer true, like one grapheme span, no longer true, into the ncurses I'll call it the handle, basic window, add a row. No. The cursor move to the start of the row once. Nope. Every add string call continues right after the previous one ended. So the grapheme runs of the row simply concatenate. Its grapheme run is written with a rendition of its parent text span. Or with a default rendition when that text span was created without a rendition of its own. The rendition is only passed to ncurses when it actually changes. And it is stored to what it was before the row end. For this row, sort of what it was before this row at the end. You never need to use this word. Wrapping may have kept trailing white space on the row that extends past the right edge of the pad. Yeah, that's not even true. It does wrap if you do this. Well, we don't know if it wraps or not. I mean, that depends on the width of the basic window, and nobody knows how wide that thing is. On the caller knows, but in this case, the caller created the pad. The basic window is an ncurses pad, and the pad is as wide as columns that the grapheme span was created with, blah blah. So yeah, but no. Now in general, you just have no clue what it is. Cannot talk about wrapping. Wrapping to the next line. Anyway, nothing else may be clipped. The rest of the row fits if pad width cells. Well, actually, not anymore, because we don't pass the width anymore. The width is now defined by the grapheme span, and that is responsible. There is no caller that is responsible here. That is the responsibility of the grapheme span object. Also filled up to mix columns cells. I'll replace cells with columns actually at some point. Why is it still here? Twice using, I don't know how to say it otherwise. So. Was extended to max columns, terminal columns, using spaces, using default rendition. I'm assigning to it here. Row is, well, why would I do that? What the hell is this doing? It makes it empty again, huh? Push the row onto rows and then we make it empty again. Well, how about we implement a move up, we implement this move here, then it would already be empty after we return. Row, theme span, move, push back, vague like hell actually. It's even worse. Well, yeah, normally if you do, well, normally by consensus I guess, if you do a standard move of an object, then afterwards it may not be used anymore, people say. The only thing you may do afterwards with it is destroy it. But it still exists. If you don't destroy it, but just override it by assigning to it, that would be okay too. And now I want to do even something worse. That is bring it to a known state. So I do the move and then it returns to the state of having just been constructed. But there is really nothing in the C++ standard that forbids you to do that, if you ask me. It's just not done normally. But I think I'm going to do it because it just fits in this code beautifully. I need something to append to. You could also bring this inside a loop maybe. But are we already at the end here then? Well, not while view, well, not view empty. No, we continue. So this keeps looping, so I would have to put wait a minute. It's a single append. Bloody row here again. Well, this is very hard to understand code. What the hell is happening here? I'm just gonna do it. That's nonsense what I'm doing here. Or is it? Yes, it is nonsense. Columns, well, almost correcto. Collector columns. So we make a copy of the maximum columns and a copy of the columns, and we just move the whole vector. And then afterwards, everything is okay except the number of columns. So we set collector columns to 0. That's how it should be. And that worked. Okay, cool. Hi Maddock. I'm working on the CLI, the ncurses interface thereof. And I have to move from here that function to grapheme spin.cxx, I think. You're going to turn this one into a member function. It's not really a row, it's just a part of a row. Maybe the right two is better. Let's call it right two. Yeah, as per the real meaning of it, of the word hacker, which is nothing malicious. The stupid media just, you know, they just abuse the word, and I refuse to let go of it just because of it. In simple terms, a hacker is just someone who lives behind his computer, doesn't do anything else than sit behind the computer. That has nothing to do with breaking into stuff or even security. There is a pretty good FAQ on it actually, and Google for the longest time gave that as a top thing. I haven't searched for it for a long time. Let me try that again. Let's say if you type in hacker FAQ. No, unfortunately, it is no longer about the real thing. How did I recognize that FAQ again? So by name, I have to see the name before I know what it was. Guess I can ask it. I don't know if it was even that, but something. Yeah, that question. This was the one. Seeps. I think this is the description of a hacker. And if you read this, then you read about me. I am 100% this guy, except that I don't start counting from 0. My hacker counts from 0. While I'm programming, my for loop starts at 0, but I don't count from 0, because when I count and I say 1, and the 1 corresponds to, well, one thing that I'm counting at that moment, then that is, way more logical than counting from 0. So no, I don't do this. But the rest, yeah. I'm also a cat, for example. Since it was almost gone, I should bookmark it, I suppose. Did I not already have it bookmarked? Well, there have so many bookmarks. You lose those bookmarks at some point. Why would you even bookmark anything? How do you bookmark stuff like this? Other bookmarks. Oh, that's fake. Nou ja, okay, Seeps. I should remember it. www.seeps.net. Hopefully it will exist for another 20 years. And then after I'm dead, it doesn't really matter that much. That I forgot the URL. So we return something. So much of my functions are void. Return nothing. Thank you for the nice words. I already moved it, huh? Yeah. So, and it's called write to now, and everything should be fine, and it compiles, and oh, it was not compiling. Okay. What is the problem here? Problem is basic window has not been declared. That's possible, of course. Well, we don't really use it there. That's forward declared. Yet another forward declaration. Let's put it here. Class basic window. And then is it still unknown in the .cxx file? Including, I don't know. Let's just try to compile it. This is how you make a robust code, I think. Just don't give a shit and keep compiling until it compiles. No, well, if you write in the right way, then the code becomes more robust, I think. You just keep making changes, keep adding stuff or refactoring stuff, especially. And I just, if I refactor something, I just move stuff around and I rename a few things, but only 10%. And then I start fixing the code by compiling. And then by the time it compiles, it works. And then you know that you have a robust code. What was it still complaining now? What? Oh, rendition. Not paying attention. Rendition not been declared. Well, I can add it. It's just another one. Class rendition. We are in the .cxx now. Error blah 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 has an initial incomplete type, so that one needs an inclusion. Probably the other one as well then. Include rendition.h. I should make a program that fixes the headers, because it's kind of a tiresome thing. Valid use of incomplete type, basic window, same thing. Okay. Basic window.h. Lib4 declaration. What is it here? Incomplete type. Also, text span is being used. Yeah, looks like it is very being used. I want to put the classes that are most dependent at the bottom. No, at the top, I mean. Does text span depend on rendition? I think it does. Does it depend on basic window? I don't know. Probably not. I'll put it here. Bit a random place, but still. What was it? Text span. AI unlikely. Yeah, that was utils macros. Utils macros. 1G. I'll go to the bottom. Of course, anything not in the project. This is all in this current directory, and this is completely different thing. It's a GitHub submodule. Therefore, this does not depend on that, and therefore it goes at the bottom. It's the least depending thing. It does not depend on anything that I'm doing, so that stuff goes to the bottom. That's annoying. Passing a grapheme span const. Why is my grapheme span const there? We write to. Write to. I am writing. It should be const. Write to doesn't change the grapheme span. So just make it const. I should buy a new chair, man. No, not a chairman, but a new chair. Should buy a new chair, I think. It compiles, therefore it works. But, having an AI means that having a test suite is extremely important. Extremely important. And yeah, I kind of like that I have it. All those tests are written by an AI, so also doesn't eat that much time anymore. Okay, so I turned it into a member function. we now have this. Write the grapheme run to a basic window. And then the next thing is I have, sorry, grapheme span. The next thing is that I have multiple grapheme spans on a row, I think, but I'm not sure. Is that not what we have somewhere? Let's first commit this, I guess. Just commit it. Div. What is this? Documentation, and turn it into a member function and rename all kinds of stuff and move it to a different file and more documentation. And a little bit of refactoring. I made the max call const, and we added that non-conforming move constructor. And finally we have this member function to write it. That's where it came from. And I did some more renaming because, yeah, I don't know. I rename stuff and then the variable names are often not renamed, which is confusing later on. We did not add anything, so it just commit everything in. Hardly a move. I used to think in the same way. I realized that you see me write sentences and even code. I start somewhere and then I add something in the beginning and at the end, and slowly I construct the whole sentence. I used to do that in my head as well, while talking real time. I can't do that anymore, but I think I'm just, you know, less of a genius. There's just no genius at all anymore. But no, not at all anymore, I think. But that was definitely the way I was talking, yeah. And the funny thing is, it has a lot of how an AI works. So I wanted to say something, and I don't think in language necessarily. You just have a concept and an idea, and then you find a few words that come close to it. And I think AI does it in the same way. So that is interesting. Or the LLMs, you know what I mean. So the keywords come out, and then you construct words in front of it and after it, and you connect stuff together, and yeah, that's how I made my sentences. And then while talking, you know, let's say I read this sentence and say, well, here I have to decide already for the first word, of course, that it must be turn instead of move. So I would think very fast, or maybe consider move and then think, but it is not a move. It's more like a change of sort of function. So I turn it into a member function. Let's start with turn, and then of course right row. Yeah, maybe this sentence is not very useful to explain it. But you get what I mean. Now, often I was not knowing what word I was going to use, and I was already halfway the sentence, while still searching for a word that would actually be useful for the description of a certain concept that I wanted to express. And when I was younger, I would always find those words. And more than often, someone told me that I was very good at explaining things. But these days my memory is so bad. Instead of having a very fast and quick overview of many words that I could use and their associations, and then manipulating them and finding the right one, aka like an LLM is doing that, I now I just have a blank mind. There's nothing. And then I arrive at the point in my sentence where I need that word and I still don't have it. And I just stop and say, yeah, sorry, I can't remember the word. Very annoying. Annoying to get old. How many brain cells must have died in the meantime for that did happen? That I can't think like that anymore. Right, so the question was, yeah, now I do it still. You know, I state the question was, I have absolutely not thought of the following words yet, but I know the concept of what I want to say. Let's say the keywords I have is standard vector, and I couldn't find the class name yet, which is just a purely bad memory issue. It's nothing to do with intelligence or anything. It's just bad memory. So what is the thing? I think we just finished grapheme span. So yeah, I said before. I said I probably have also you know a list of grapheme spans that all go on one row. So if we do that, this probably a standard vector of grapheme spans. So I begin the sentence with the question is if. I guess, and I start talking slower because I realized that, you know, the end of the sentence, I still couldn't find the grapheme span. So I'm thinking, and it's just too slow, man. Okay, to finish the sentence, the question is if the current code already has support for or uses somewhere, writes somewhere a vector of grapheme spans. And we can get an idea, I think, if that is the case, to simply search source, grab the source for standard vector grapheme span. But then maybe it's a terminal here in front of it. I mean, you can look for it. It already exists. Okay. Yeah, well, I'm kind of surprised that even a paragraph already has that, to be honest. And a pad was the most, and I can't find the word, the most frontier, the most advanced, the most developed towards output on ncurses. But how do you see that? Say that correctly. Finished, the most finished. Maybe the most was not correct. Okay, I won't bother you with this. The struggles of my language. Expressing myself. And then I just come up with something cheap that, well, it has to cover the bases. So I'm going to say something like, looking at pad is probably our best chance to, you know, for success, to finding how or if or how that was done. It also has to do with paragraphs, apparently, already. We have a vector here, grapheme spans, called wrapped paragraphs. When we push back to it. Oh, but that's a list of grapheme spans that go on different lines, because it's after the wrapping. So I have a paragraph, just a stretch of text that is too long for whatever you want to display it in. So it needs to be wrapped. can just cut it off at this length. Say we want to cut it off, maximum length of here. And consecutive did not fit anymore here at the end, so they had to go there, etc. So we have just one long sentence that begins with wrap and ends with data, and then it gets separated into 4 grapheme spans. And now we have to imagine, why is it a span and not a run? Because a grapheme run is something with the same rendition. While the rendition meaning, you know, bold, underscore, italic, colors, stuff like that, the way it looks. So this determines here could be, say, in red, and this which could be underlined. Then this is a run, and then this is a different run because it has a different rendition. And then we can have a run all the way till here, and then this is its own run because it has a different rendition again, and we have another run. So the span exists of multiple runs. But now I'm talking about spans that go on the same row. So that's not this. Grapheme spans of a paragraph are something that goes on different rows. However, now it is possible that I have, say, something on a row. Let's say you want to display a pop-up window or something like that with 2 columns. And in one column short words, and the other column a description. And the description can be quite long, so that is put into a paragraph. But the column might be not enough to fit the whole paragraph in one line, so that paragraph then gets wrapped. So you get the one word here, and then the paragraph in multiple lines here. And if then you want to display that on your monitor, then you have to write the short word followed by the first grapheme span of the paragraph, and then a blank line under the keyword followed by the second grapheme span of the paragraph. But at the top, or if you have 2 paragraphs next to each other, 2 different columns, then you have a grapheme span from the first paragraph, and then in the second column the grapheme span of the second paragraph. And they go on the same line then. Just the first grapheme span of 2 paragraphs, or the grapheme span that is that short word of the first column. And it doesn't necessarily have to be columns, you just can get that. However, it's extremely logical, or how do you say that? It's a lot more likely, I guess, that you want to talk about this vector here. Oh, it's a bloody vector of vectors, I didn't even see that. All that time I didn't see that. So focused on, well, we have a vector and a grapheme span. Well, C# is for dumb people, and so it's logical that someone making that comparison you won't see a C++ coder come here and say, yeah, C++ is better than C#. Nobody needs to say that. Am I hungry? It's 1 a.m. I didn't eat that much. I went to some neighborhood party thing, and they had all kinds of snacks. So I did eat like a beast because it was free. No, I'm just kidding. Because I can't stop myself when there is food, free or not. I didn't eat that much actually. Starting to feel it. The calories have burned up, definitely. Didn't eat anything else today, so. And I'm already at the weight that I wanted to be, which is 68 kilograms. I would rather be 60 kilograms, I have to admit, but it's not that young anymore. Plus back then I didn't have as much muscles, I think, so a few kilograms isn't too bad. Otherwise you get thin legs again. I don't know. Well, should probably just eat a sandwich before I go to bed. So bad habits. Bad habits. Kinda done with this for today though. I'll make almost no progress, I feel. It's horrible. 4 commits. Yeah. I'm gonna stop. Let's play a game of chess. I'll play chess until I lose, which is very fast, and then I'm gonna eat. I have to take medicine, and then I have to eat a sandwich because of that. You can't eat it. You can't take the medicine on an empty stomach. So I have an excuse. Now, if you say A, you should say B. Yeah, there it is. And then I can attack it again, and then the pawn comes. And then I can attack that pawn as well, and he takes your check. Okay, I'll also do that. Shall I just take it? This pawn here is might actually be a sacrifice if I don't take the pawn back. Shall we try that, just for fun? I want to lose anyway, then I can watch a movie while I eat something. Oh, defending it with the knight. Well, that's hardly defending. It's kind of strange. Now I take it. And I cannot do this. Smart guy. This has to keep defending that. Okay, so I can still do this. Knight here. Yeah, weird order. In the end, the bishop is coming here, huh? And then the queen has to go, and where do I go? I have to go here then. Which is not that problematic, unless that point can be attacked as well quickly, like the knight comes here. Let's just go here. Also, the queen can escape, I think. Nobody knows why he's doing that. Why is doing that? Okay, I just castle. Which way? I think I'm threatening to go here now. Oh no, not anymore. Okay, we go here. My pawns are going to walk towards this king here. I think this pawn has to come up, make a hole for the bishop. And then we can open the file there. Unless he pushes. And if then I play my knight, I attack that, so he basically would have to... Shall I just first do this maybe? It's not that bad of an idea. If he takes with the knight, I win a tempo. If he takes with the bishop, I win the bishop pair and an open line in front of the king. And if he doesn't take, I can push this pawn and then open the line also. Yeah, that's going to be a little bit too late. I already have 3 here. Oh, that's a pawn. Oh, he's attacking 2. Oh no, what to do? Yeah, and maybe he thinks that I'll give him an open line here. No, we are doing this plan. 2 against 2, basically. I don't need this pawn, so the pawn will be used there. So he cannot push the pawn, we can just take it. And then we have an open file here. Well, in front of the king. And we put a rook on it. And he gets rid of my knight, which is not too dumb. Yeah, I have to keep defending this thing, I suppose. Could go here. Or here. Oh, and he could go there. That would not good. Not good. So this is the only square where I really can go to. Still defending this. Oh, okay. Yeah, true. Now, if I go random place, he just takes my bishop. And if I go here or there, I have to go here, he's still defending it. He cannot take it. He cannot take it. It's a bit scary though. And I will now move my bishop, give check, and I lose my queen. Unless I put it there, and there's no check. Can't say I'm happy with this. So checking that point and my queen. Man, this guy is aggressively attacking. I was laughing about his spawn, but maybe maybe he's watching my stream now and got pissed off. Turned on his the computer. I mean, this engine. I mean, well, the audacity. Am I now losing? Looks like it. Lose this. Trying to win on time with 6 points behind. Ja, loses. Okay, I would play until I lose, which is the first game, obviously. Goodbye. Life sucks. I can't play chess. My rating is tumbled down again.